Thank you, Pablo, for joining us today. We're here at the Origin Hotel Red Rocks. It's a hidden gem right off I-70 and the Morrison exit. But as I said, it's an honor to sit with somebody of your caliber and your abilities and what you bring to the culinary scene here in Golden, Colorado, and Colorado in general. There's a lot of topics I want to cover during this. I want to talk about what got you started, what inspires you, talk about good leadership and what you're doing, your participation in the Hispanic Top Chef, your participation in the Hispanic Chefs Association, which we're meeting on next Monday at 10:30, and then what you want to do. You seem to be a guy that really wants to make a difference, not just talk, but in action, and that's why we're here. So, first of all, how'd you get started in the culinary world?
I was hungry. And by being hungry, I mean I was eating a lot outside of my house. So at the end of the day, my credit card balances, it showed me that I was spending a lot of money on restaurants, a lot more money than I should. So I was like, okay, am I spending this amount of money on this? Then it will continue this way. I'm living.
How old were you when that happened?
This is me at 27.
Okay, 27.
So I really started my culinary career at 27 years old.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
So
before that, I was doing mortgage. I was in the mortgage industry, and eating, partying, a lot of money went through it. And at the end, I'm like, I'm not eating as well because most of the times I leave frustrated from the places.
Right.
And then you still spend money when you like to eat good, you know?
But obviously something inside of you inspired you to become a great chef.
It's been the walk through life that has told me what direction to go. It hasn't mean that I chose this path and this path is the one to go. I made that decision not because I wanted to be a cook or wanted to spend my life in a line. I did this decision because I wanted to eat better for the rest of my life.
Oh, okay.
So I went to culinary school to be able to cut down my finances by learning how to cook. Yeah, you want good chicken, then buy a pound of chicken and cook the chicken instead of buying 250 grams of cooked chicken, which is going to cost you a lot more. So that's what I did.
So it was economics.
Yes, I was doing I was doing mortgages, and I was analyzing people's budget. And in the people's budget, you spend a lot of money in food. So the only way that you can really embrace your home economics is by managing what the most percentage of your paycheck goes through, and it goes through food. Whether
Right.
you want to think or not, it goes through food. You have 40% DTI that you have through your income that you can pay to your house, and then it leaves you car payment and leaves you this and that, and this is your allowance for food.
Okay.
What do you do with that money?
And you wanted to eat the best possible way.
With the amount of money that I have left over out of my paycheck. So the only way to do it is by learning how to cook.
And so you went to culinary school. Where'd you go to culinary school?
I started in Colombia. So I was living at Denver at the moment. I sold everything in Denver. I went to Colombia to start culinary in La Salle College. But at the moment, Colombia didn't have the resources to have hands-on. Right. So it was a lot of theory, it was a lot of books, it was a lot of reading, but it wasn't a lot of hands-on. And I was already 27 years old. I was not ready to waste 4 years on books and not in the kitchen. So I went back to Colorado, went back to the mortgage business. I was going to start making money again. And one of my girlfriends at the moment said, "No, Pablo, you have to go cook. You cook good, but you should really cook." So she signed me up at Le Cordon Bleu in Miami.
Oh, okay.
So I moved to Miami. And I spent there one of the best years in my life, which was cooking, but very good food with the best kitchens in the world, with the best teachers, with the best products. And what I did pay, it was for the amount of product that we went through. So you wanted to learn about how to cut fish, you need fish to cut. You can read the book, and the book will tell you how to cut the fish, but you need 20, 30, 50 fishes to be able to learn how to cut a fish. Cordon Bleu did provide that for me. In Colombia did not. So that was a change of education, and that was a gap on my life. I did not make those decisions. Those decisions came through my life because they did not let me quit the kitchen.
Okay, so it seems like the universe was aligned to get you inside the kitchen. So
Then I finished my career and I moved to Colorado. Back again. Colorado is a land that is always hold me hostage, in a good way. I snowboard. I used to snowboard more than 40 days a year. Right now I'm like 4 days a
while
year.
you're so busy working here.
And that's one of the things that we have given up on our careers. And I don't know if it's the right decision or the good decision to become a chef these days. You know, we are struggling hard. This is an industry that is taking
It's taking a kick in the teeth.
a big impact, and through us, through our hands, through the gastronomy hands, goes a lot of food, of product that people make. You know, we are the ones that transform the farmers' products.
As we continue this, talking about life, fortunately you're here in Colorado, you want to snowboard, and then we all got kicked in the teeth from the restaurant industry with the pandemic. And you know, we kind of did a walkthrough right before this, and you had your pastry chef doing the dishes.
We have to do what we have to do, you know, and we are a kitchen. We are professionals in the kitchen. Okay, so
Right.
we have 4 chefs in the kitchen already, and my goal is to keep adhering more chefs and more chefs. Not only cooks, because a cook is only person that wants to cook, and he cooks for money, but he doesn't cook for passion. For me, becoming a chef is someone that he knows how to cook, but he also has passion for it.
Right, and I've always saying this. I say it again. Like chefs, always the artistry behind your food, and the passion. The generals or the commanders in the kitchen, and then you're also like the musician, where this teamwork. You have to play. It's a solid piece of music to produce. As we mentioned, you know, this couple of your customers, this beautiful product.
It end up on the numbers because it is a business at the end of the day.
That is true, but
you have to you have to manage an orchestra, in a way. You know, you want the plantains, then you have to source the plantains. What plantains are you going to source, and when are you going to source them? You need leaves to make the tamales. You have to source the leaves. What are the best leaves? When do you buy the leaves? Do you want piloncillo? Then you know that piloncillo is going to run out on December, so you have to make sure you buy it ahead of time. You know the winter is coming, so for the winter coming, this is not Colombia. Colombia produces food every day. This is Colorado. Colorado, you have to make sure that you pickle stuff, so you have different quality of products and flavors that you can play with. Not only the unflavored hydroponic tomatoes that we get from our products sourcing in the winter. So you have to play with the good products on the summer to be good on the winter. You have to prepare. You have to teach your team. You have to spend hours on purchasing. You have to, right now with the inflation as it is in the United States, it's increasing by a 4 or 5%. You have to change your either your menu price or you're not going to make profit. And at the end of the day, we have to make profit to be able to be sustainable.
Right.
So our products are increasing its value, but our clients are complaining that the food cost is high. So my plates are high, but I always go to the computer at the end of the month and I always go to a 20 to 32% food cost. I'm trying to be fair with my client and with my boss.
Right.
Because the only way to do that is by going through the numbers. The same way that I did when I quit doing mortgages and went to school. It was a number issue, and the numbers make you make decisions.
Right. But you also mentioned when a couple times I've talked to you and dealt with you, you always want to know the story behind your food. Why is that?
It's a topic of conversation on the table for you as a guest, and the more I nourish you with food, it's not only the food, it's the information that goes behind the food. So we're talking about the chiles. You know the story about the chiles because I asked the story about the chiles. Now you can tell the story about those chiles.
Right.
Right? And now we know that we're talking about the grandnephew of the guy that brought the chile number 8 to Nuevo Mexico. Those are the chiles that I'm serving today. So I'm preserving history through my plates. I can tell you this story, and this story will tell you a little bit more. And maybe you know more about chiles than me, but that little bit of information could make a food topic.
Oh, that's great. And so the ladies we talked to are eating the chilies with that story behind it, and I heard you talking to them about that. So, but you also searching out other venues or vendors with that same story, because you really like to know the history.
I mean, we're in Colorado, so you have to look at your surroundings and what's around here. So we have elk, we have deer, we have rattlesnakes, we have lamb, but we are eating salmon. Where is the salmon around here?
Oh,
We should eat trout, which is a type of salmon, but it's not salmon. So
So you want to bring the local flavor truly in your experience, just like the ladies we were talking to. You're talking about you had a French flavor, a Mexican chef, and what was the third one we talked?
I'm Colombian, mixing all these things.
Oh yeah, it was great. It was a great flavor profile. I did like that.
Food is a matter of tastings, taste buds, right? And the more you increase your library of palates, it turns your food into different things, the more and what's your favorite food? I mean, my favorite food, it's the one that you can make with ingredients that you can gather together.
Right.
And it's only a local matter. I mean, I could be in Oaxaca, but yes, I love the pizza. But pizza is not the place to eat here. It's at Tlayuda. So Tlayuda is what you should eat here. And that's my favorite thing in Oaxaca. Why should I eat the pizza in Oaxaca? I think the more we open our minds or our palate library,
Right.
the better we can develop the kitchen. And the only way you do that is through traveling. Because then you will really embrace the flavors of the chiles. But not only the flavor of the chile. What is the chile made out of? So if you go to Oaxaca, you know mole. And everybody knows mole. But what's mole? The mole, it's a mixture of many, many things. It's a cluster of...
Is that one of your specialties?
No. To be a specialist on mole is like being a sushi master. It's like really, really develop yourself into mole. Mole, it's a...
What's your specialty? What would you consider your specialty?
I'm a special at doing many things and mixing my things and doing my things. I'm not as special on trying to
To give you credit, I agree with that. And the reason I say that is because you did our first Latin Supper Club, and you took rattlesnake, elk, venison. What was the other one? I can't remember off the top of my head. But
we got frog legs.
All the different areas. And you pulled it off beautifully. It was a 10-course meal. It was such a wonderful experience. And that was, I came to you and said, hey, can you do this? And you're like, of course I can.
This is the menu. I'm not playing outside my menu.
I know, but it was the way you brought your Colombian experience, some of the Mexican food, some of the local, and just blended that together. And that was pretty good.
It is also the team that comes together. And the team brings things that you cannot plan ahead of time. It's just in the moment of plating that people put their soul in the food. And yes, I might have a design on the plate, but then one of my cooks said that day, I want to plate the salad. Go for it. Don't play the salad.
Okay.
You have to let them go. You have to give them the chance to play. I mean, it's not only me the one that is playing. We have to play in the kitchen. And at the beginning of my career, people tell me, why do you ask me to go? Let me go and play in the kitchen. I'm like, because I want to play. I don't want to go and cook. I want to play. And playing for me, it's better than working. So you decide what you want to pay me for.
It's fun for you.
For me, it's fun until the moment that becomes stressful because people don't do the things that they should do, or because we become tight on labor, or many things become stressful. But yes, I still enjoy it because it's a challenge.
But it also do your leadership. So that leads me into my next question about leadership. We went through your kitchen. I talked to Nora, Josh. And you execute a lot for the amount of staff you have. What do you attribute that to? Leadership style, decentralized command, giving them control of their portion?
We spend more time together than we do with our families. We have to get our backs together. It's not about the kitchen. The kitchen, the kitchen becomes the second part of the story. I spend more times with Nora, with Aki, with my team that I do with my daughters. I want to spend time with my daughters.
Right.
But at the end of the day, we have to struggle together because what we do here is what my daughters can achieve. Or my house, I pay my bills, I have to give them the best that they can. And it only depends on the place that you are at the moment.
Right.
In Colombia, the life is easier. Yes, it's different. when I'm in Mexico, life is different. Sometimes I go to work for 2 months without seeing my family because I'm producing Masterchef Mexico, and I love it. So I'm willing to sacrifice those times that I'm eager to have. But this is the career that I chose,
Right.
not the career that it was put it in me. You know, I chose to do this, and at the end of the day, why did I got stuck in the lines? I was not a line cook. I've never been a line cook. I never spent 20 years in a restaurant. I've been doing more research, more consulting, more management. I have managed a company that sold 2.5 million eggs in Colombia. This is my family legacy. My father builds construction machines, so I've been in the industry all my life. And we have struggled with the economy up and down in Colombia. I have been a refugee from Colombia. I have flown from... Life has been great with me, you know.
So you've had a very adventurous life. So let's unpack some of the things you've said, because I generally cover these things. I want to talk about your history, your inspiration. You talk about your dad and what you've done. You mentioned, we want to talk about where you want to go with these things. Masterchef Mexico. How'd you get involved in that? Let's unpack those two, and then I want to go on to the Latin Supper Club, and then I want to go on to you were a judge at the Hispanic Top Chef. On those, so let's unpack those four things.
So Pablo finished Cordon Bleu. Pablo goes to Colorado, does Frasca, Flagstaff, which were the two top restaurants at the moment in Colorado. Pack my bag.
Which one, Frasca and
Flagstaff House?
And Flagstaff House, and you participated in that.
In both.
In both.
So then I went to travel and learn, and I started writing a food blog.
Right, I've read that.
So my food blog is not for anybody; it's for me, so I can go and pick things that I did in the back days because I might forgot it.
You're right.
So people start taking advantage of my things. So finally, my blog was helpful for other people. I don't write my blog very often, but still a topic of interest,
right,
in the performance of the blogspot that they send me the links, and I put input once in a while of things that I do, but it's not being my main focus of moment. But that's what started it.
Masterchef Mexico, or
no, the blog led me to a magazines in Mexico. So I started doing the blog, and I started traveling through Mexico and writing about my trips to Mexico. And then a magazine called Alta Gastronomia contacted me, and then they led me to Patricia Quintana, which was one of the top chefs in Mexico. And then she brought me to the Canirac. Canirac is like the chain of restaurants in Mexico. And then we did a trip through Mexico with her. We called Aromas y Sabores, La Ruta del Norte. So we did over 45 days of full food, full hotels. But we did a lot of miles, like really a lot of miles. And we were two buses, and these two buses were full of press trying to bring back tourism to the north of Mexico. What they were doing, they were going through horrific times. You know, the narco wars were happening in the north of Mexico. So they were trying to bring back some tourism. So I did all this trip with Patricia. I learned a lot. And I learned to do it in a different way because I have been already doing that. I've been traveling through food market, writing about the food market. And then at the end of the day, I used to go to the best restaurant in the city, and I knocked the door through the back, and I told, hey, Enrique Olvera, dude, you have to let me see what you do in Pujol.
I can see you doing that.
what you do in Pujol. And I got allowed to go in through the most amazing kitchens. I have never been said no to go into any of these fancy kitchens. So I learned from the food market and to the top chefs of Mexico. So I know most of them just because I was eager to learn. So my trip was going to go to Argentina. I did not left Mexico. I have not been able to leave Mexico because my Mexico is so huge on gastronomy that it does not allow me to go somewhere. I know a lot of Colombian gastronomy. I know a lot of Mexican gastronomy because it's what had led me. And then Masterchef hired me. And then Enrique Alvarenque called me one day and said, Pablo, I know who you are. And I know your palate is going to give honesty to this project because I know you're not going to lie about she looks good. So no.
Our Hispanic Top Chef contestants learned that lesson.
So at the end of the day, it is about the food. And it is about being critical about the food. But you have to know what the food is
Right.
to be able to criticize it. And what Masterchef provided to me was 3,000 plates in a month. Tasting and say, this is good, this is not good, this is good, this is not good. Sometimes it's not as good that it sends you to the bathroom right away. But sometimes it's so good that you cannot stop eating even though you have tried 150 plates.
Right.
So
what was the best part about what you just said?
No, MasterChef brings you a lot of things. This is casting.
Right.
So in casting, we go through 20 cities, 15 cities, and we used to do 3,000 plates in a month. Taste, you're good, you're bad. And then you have the flavor profile of the whole Mexico. Not the restaurant industry, just the home food, home cooking. Then the next part of MasterChef is out of those 3,000 people, the first time out of the 3,000, we did 300. So we put all these 300 people in a plaza in Guanajuato. And then we did tasting for these 300 people. Who was the better food? So out of those 30, we picked 50. And then those of 50, we put 18. And those 18, we delivered them to the chefs, to the judges.
Oh.
And then they'll do their show. And at that part, I changed my outfit. So I go to the back of the kitchen in MasterChef. So now we are not bringing participants. Now we are the host kitchen. So we have to do all the tests, all the food purchasing. We are the host for every international chef that comes to the program. We have to deal with 18 different stations, 18 different people that they don't know what to cook, anything, dude. Which is fantastic because you see their growth.
Right.
So finding out how Mexico is, and then you put 18 people that they are from very distant parts of Mexico, and then you put them together and they show you what Mexico is about. And that's what Hernan told me that day. He's like, Pablo, this is what I need you to do. I'll pick the people because I do the
contestants?
No, he does the soap opera part of the show.
Oh, the drama.
He has to pick the right participant to give you the right amount of drama or
friction.
Of friction or whatever we need to have on the show. But they have to cook.
Right.
So you have to really cook to be able to give some feedback because it's a cooking show. And then you have to learn how to play with recording, which is, as a chef, I never did recording. Nevertheless, you have to be in a production that is worth $1.5 million a day.
Right.
So now this is not a restaurant. I don't have to serve people. This is a completely different story for us as chefs, you know?
Right.
And then Bimbo says, we need food for this shooting. So you have to make the food for the shooting.
So that kind of talks about the production. What was the hardest part of MasterChef Mexico, or the biggest challenge?
I think as a chef, it's always hours. We don't have enough time.
Yeah, that's true.
So loading a kitchen in the studio in Guadalajara or in Mexico City, and going to Jalisco to Tequila, unload the truck, build a kitchen in the middle of the agave fields, and then produce television from there. Okay. And then load everything in the truck, send it back to Mexico, and then the next day another chapter.
It sounds like it was a great adventure, though.
It's fantastic, but it's heavy work.
Oh, I believe that. And it was a competition, and I'm going to segue into our Top Chef competition. We held the Hispanic Top Chef. We held at Metropolitan State University. You were a judge, and thank you for that. Number one, everybody talked about you and Dana and Manny and what a great job you guys did. And what surprised you the most about that competition?
The skills.
The skills of the chefs.
skills of the chefs. I think I've been used to doing amateurs cooking competitions. But these are not amateurs. These are really, really, really people that play their life with the knife.
Oh no,
you
they
know?
did great. I mean,
And
I was.
I
That
know
was
I was impressed with the food that they provide. And yes, sometimes we take the path that we should not. And we do that because we believe our roots are not strong enough. And I think that's what happened there too. To one of the participants went in a direction that is not his roots. It's not him. He's so good. But then he went French style.
well. That's part of the international flavor. I mean,
Yes, but you have to acknowledge that you are in a competition. You have to give me your soul. So it's not only replicating a beef Wellington. All right, so we're gonna judge a beef Wellington? Really? This is a recipe that has been there for 400 years. I want to judge you, not the beef Wellington. If you are a beef Wellington, then yes, you are a good executor.
yeah.
You know?
No. I was everybody I've talked to. They loved the skill set, the quality, the craftsmanship, the artistry, and I loved it. We're gonna have another one next June. Obviously, I'm gonna ask.
But that is traveling, and that is knowing our products and giving their value. I'll tell you a lot about the potatoes because that's the main ingredient that I work with in Colombia, or chiles. Perhaps, I have taken all the chiles and all the seeds to my house, and I've been growing them like crazy. But then it gives you flavor profiles. You cannot have flavor profiles without different seeds. And the
Right.
seeds come from different places. So you can put the seeds from point A to point B, but it's not going to be the same because now the chiles or the jalapenos are not spicy because they grow in China.
Right. Okay. I get.
So you can have the shape, you can have everything, but you don't have the terroir.
Okay. So the skill set, and you want them in a perfect world at the next Hispanic Top Chef. If you're in our position at the HRA, the Hispanic Restaurant Association, what would you want to do?
I think knowing what we know now, I would give them less possibilities. And I will make them work this all with the same ingredients to challenge them really. What can you do with 5 ingredients?
Okay. So
Go and source your ingredients. But you got beans. Show me what can you do with beans.
Okay.
Just beans. You don't get potatoes, you don't get rice, you don't get lettuce, beans.
Well, we can always do shorter competitions there and just kind of feedback because we do for next year. We already have chefs from
Chile relleno. So we're gonna have to play it really, really, really nice with chile relleno.
correct.
It's just one ingredient that you have to
Okay.
show me with one ingredient, which is your beauty. What are you gonna do? And that's what's coming.
Okay, that's good. And I'm going to shift now. We're talking about we talked about Masterchef Mexico. We talked about you're really surprised, which is great, especially somebody of your caliber coming from there. Tell us about where you grew up in Colombia and what inspired you, because obviously you have a great work ethic, and you have from my perspective, a great leadership style. Because you teach them and let them do their thing. Where did you learn that?
I think my mother really was a hard worker, very hard worker. She always fought for her product. So she always bought the best eggs in town to deliver to their clients. So our eggs are very, 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 very high quality eggs. Very, very good product. My dad was always trying to achieve perfectionism on his constructions. So I grew up on those two things. And then my grandma, for some reason, and my mom was one of the first chefs in Colombia, studied chefs. So but she was never in a restaurant business. She just cooked for
everybody.
For everybody. So the food in my house was amazing at all times. And when I moved to the United States, I had to start to pay for the food. And there was a moment that I did not appreciate until I was old is when I was 14 years old, my dad went to the coffee region one day and said, "Oh, this is fantastic. We're going to move to the coffee region." So he sold everything in Bogota. He moved his factory from Bogota to Pereira, which was one of his bad mistakes. as a businessman, but his life quality changed. So now we have a farm, and now my grandma lives in a farm. Now my grandma has cows. He's got the food that you cannot imagine, dude. We had cocoa plants. We have coffee plants. We have maracuja. We have
Did you have a restaurant there?
no. We had a farm,
That's it.
and that's it. And then I got grandma to cook everything. So food was fresh. So you want pig, they kill the pig, and then you had pig in the freezer for the whole year. You want cow, then you got cow, and then kill the cow, and then the cow was spread through the whole family. And it was the food that I grew up with. My grandma used to make the arepas. And I remind her, just making big piles of corn, blend it in, and then she put it on coal, dude. The family used to get together around her, put butter on that thing, and just eating arepas like with butter like crazy. Those are my good memories. Lentejas with arroz from my mom, lasagna from my mom. I think my Latin American origins are not a restaurant. They are brought from their homes and their grandma's flavors.
So it's your dad, your mom, and your grandparents, or grandma, is what inspires you,
To eat good.
right?
So then it drove me to different places. I was not looking to work for Masterchef. I was not looking to work for the Catholic Church in Colombia, and in San Isidro as one of their chefs. But life has brought me to this path, and I love it, you know. And I wouldn't be more grateful to have this possibility in the middle of a pandemic. I find one of the best jobs in Colorado. I have now the chance to do what I want in a kitchen with many resources.
Okay, so let's. You talked about one of the best jobs. You're here now at the Origin Hotel Red Rocks. Everybody speaks so highly of you. Every time I come in and talk to a customer that I've been here, just making sure that you're not all talk, which obviously you're not. I'm just kind of making fun of that. Is what do you like? What are you doing differently here that's really bringing the attention that it has been? Because you beautifully executed the Latin Supper Club, everything. Just a regular salad. What are you doing differently? What are they allowing you to do?
They let me play with good quality ingredients. And then I have to raise the price of the menu. You want color or carrots? They cost more.
Right.
And it changes prices every week, like inflation. So that's what I'm saying. You want good tamales. So we have to play with technology. So now you have to play with sous vide machines. And then you have to play with cryogenization of products. And we are at this moment of times where we can make very, 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 very good food with little resources. It's just a matter of finding the right product and finding the right person that is doing the right product, because that's where flavor comes from. Flavor doesn't come from a big brand.
Right.
Flavor comes from somebody that really nailed down to took the weeds out by hand, not by spraying it.
Gotcha.
So when we became lazy, we start spraying things, and when we start spraying things, we lost the flavor of things.
Right, and the nutrition. So, okay, so you're doing a lot of different things here. So let's circle around. What would you tell an 18-year-old you differently in your life? Or you just
Have fun, man.
Have fun?
Yeah.
Okay, that's good.
And follow the God. Don't harm anybody.
Okay.
And help as much as you can. And then things will come back to you, and it's not money. It will never be money what moves you. I mean, if you do things right, then they'll pay you. They'll bring you. I mean, I cannot pay for 3,000 plates. Neither you, or the time to bring it. You have to have a line of 150 people every place that you go, ready to put food in front of you. Those are things that life have given me that I wouldn't be able to pay. I mean, I've done it because when I was doing it, I used to go to Oaxaca. And I said, Oaxaca, okay, to learn the food of Oaxaca, you have to spend here 2 months. So I don't have 2 months to spend in Oaxaca. So I spent the 2-3 days. I bought all the food that I could find in the market, but I carry all the backpackers that they had in the hostel. So for me, it was easier to buy $100 on food on one day and taste everything.
Right.
I was doing it in a smaller scale. So I was bringing the party to the hostel. It was fun. It was very, very good moments,
So that's great. So not only is it advice, but that also sounds like your life philosophy. And I'm going to wrap it up with this. Once again, I thank you for spending the time with us. You're just a high caliber guy. Love your energy. I love the way you look at life. What do you have for us at the Hispanic Restaurant Association? You're going to be a big part of the Hispanic Chefs Association. What do you have for us?
I have the same little guy here that is willing to offer 100% of what he does at all times. For the hotel, for Lia, my restaurant in Colombia, for the Catholic Church when I had the opportunity to work for them, for the egg. I always strive to achieve good things, fun things, more than economic things, things that make an impact on somebody or in a life of somebody. What I'm trying to achieve here is try to show the roots of Colorado.
Okay.
Colorado is in Spanish now.
Oh, yeah. Yeah,
so there is a big link. So we are called Nomad. In Nomad, I am trying to showcase the Colorado that we lost, the Colorado that we are, and the Colorado that we have to maintain, because we're burning neighborhoods, 1,000 homes a day, dude. So it's either we change the approach of how we are behaving, how we are living, how we are sourcing our food. Things might be differently, we have to think very truly what we're doing.
Yeah, just think through the processes, the results, and the consequences of the decisions we make, is what you're saying. So
yeah, so Nomad is going to be a lab, like all my kitchens end up being, for the people that want to play with us. If you have a product that you want me to showcase, a product that you want me to put on a dish, a product that you believe it's left unknown because you are not having the muscle power to move the product, bring those products to me. We'll see what we can do with them.
Okay.
And then if something comes, then it comes. If it doesn't come, at least we try. And we fail.
Exactly.
But then it's better to fail than not to try.
Exactly. Well, thank you. Thank you for spending the time with us. I appreciate it very, very much.
No. It's always a pleasure having a conversation with you, and welcome to this, our home.
Thank you.
It's your home.